Here is your vocal mechanism, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and play this video for you. And this was your liquid bolus, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna stop it here and just point out some rough anatomy, okay? So this here is your epiglottis, okay? This component folds all the way over here when you swallow. Back here is your tongue base, and if we were to just keep following this, your tongue would be here like this, okay? So this is where your face is, towards this side, and the back of your head is towards this side, okay? So back here, we can't really see it, but this is where your esophagus opening is back here. We can't really see it right now, but we probably will later on. So these are your arytenoids. These help in closing this. These are your vocal folds. These are your false vocal folds. And then down here is your trachea, or where it feeds into your lungs for breathing, okay? And so I have been noticing that these are not closing all the way due to your hoarseness, okay? So all of this blue is that blue liquid that I had you swallow, okay? So when I say the terms like penetration or aspiration, that means that this liquid is going here into this laryngeal vestibule. This is what this whole space here is called. We do not want anything in this laryngeal vestibule because that's what causes aspiration, and that's what's causing you to choke after you have your thin liquids, okay? So here's your piriform sinuses. These are like the little pockets where it goes before it goes down into your esophagus. And then back below here, behind the epiglottis, is a space called the valleculae. Now, when you have like pooling or there's a residue in the valleculae, that's okay. So the valleculae is just a typical spot. So when you swallow something, it's gonna hit that valleculae first, and then it's gonna go around the epiglottis into the piriform sinuses and then down into the esophagus. All right, so here we are, moving on. Oh, and also one other part, when the screen goes completely white, it's called a whiteout. So what that means is that everything kind of comes together or collapses during the swallow, and the camera obviously doesn't have any room, so that just whiteout is just the tissues coming too close to the camera to where it can't record it. So that when that happens, that's when a swallow is happening, okay? So we'll watch this. So that's a whiteout, that's a swallow. Okay, swallowing again. Okay, I'm gonna stop it here. So all this blue in here is all penetration. And what's happening is, so you're swallowing, and this pulling from the valleculae is going into the piriform sinuses, and then they're kind of seeping into this laryngeal vestibule, okay? And all of this liquid is sitting here. Obviously, your vocal folds are adducted here. It looks like this was a pretty good day for you. You didn't know any hoarseness when you came in, so since it was your day off yesterday, probably you were well hydrated and well rested. So anyways, all of this liquid just stays here on top of the false vocal folds and the true vocal folds, and then when you breathe again and those sphincters open, all of that liquid is just pouring down into your lungs, and that's what's causing you to choke and the aspiration, okay? So we're just gonna keep on going here. Yep, so that's where you're breathing, and that's, I think you're coughing here, trying to get all those secretions out of that laryngeal vestibule. I'm trying to get a better look here. Yeah, it looks like you're coughing again, trying to get all that out. All right, and that's about the end of our video. I'll go ahead and just let it run through. So again, these are your vocal folds, and this is your voice box, so to speak. And back here is your esophagus. Okay, so now let me set you up here and I'm going to show you some anatomy. Okay, so okay, so let me flip this around here. Okay, so first here, this is your oral phase. So the bolus or your food is here. And this is the epiglottis I was telling you about. And this part is the epiglottis, and this little divot here is the valleculae. Okay, so when you swallow, it follows this blue arrow until here, and then it goes down this way, not here. This is your larynx, or where your air goes. Okay, so when you have penetration, what's actually happening is this bolus is not going into the esophagus, but it's actually going into that trachea there. So that's what's happening while it's aspirating. All right, so I just kind of wanted to show you a little bit of anatomy before we finish up our little meeting here. So let me pull over my notes real quick. Okay, so yesterday we did the fiber optic endoscope evaluation for swallowing, or FEES for short, which is the long camera that I stuck up your nose and then went down to look at your voice box or your swallowing mechanism. So the video that I showed you was only the video of air. I didn't show you the solid videos because those were all good. I didn't see any penetration of the cracker or the applesauce or the pudding or the honey. So just wanted to kind of tell you that. So you aspirated on thin liquid. The term aspiration means that every time you drink a thin liquid, like the blue colored water, the water went down the wrong pipe, so to speak, and into your airway where the lungs are. This is not necessarily bad for liquids such as water, especially if your mouth is clean and you drink water and you aspirate. It's not that dangerous because nothing can happen. But if germs or other different things get mixed in, so like if you have like a drink of coffee or lemonade or Coke or things like that and there's germs in that, and you aspirate, that can actually lead to pneumonia. So we're doing everything our best to avoid pneumonia, because obviously I don't want you back in here or getting a phone call from a doctor saying, hey, Derek has pneumonia. So we're just trying to completely avoid that, okay? So we went through all of our structures. So every time you take a drink, your epiglottis, the part that was raised up, is not folding over completely, okay? So there's some kind of deficits there. So what's happening is after you swallow, the pooling in the valleculae that I showed you was dripping down into the piriform sinuses and then going into that laryngeal vestibule, which is the place we do not want anything to be. So that's what was happening after you swallow. Just that pooling was just kind of staying there because of the weakness in the larynx. Okay. So,